internet is having some issues, it seems. And it's telling me now that I'm streaming again, so if you could let me know in the chat whether you can, like, see me. My internet is having some issues, it seems. Or what? It's telling me now that I'm... I think I'm online again. I hope the internet doesn't pull this nonsense on me again. But it seems to be working again. That was pretty awkward. My hotspot just dropped me. I'm live again. So Shannon, if you're still there, I just saw your comment about the plants. I always see those like embroidery tutorials where it's like, this is how you do a leaf, this is how you do a flower, and this stitch is great for stems and stuff. There's even a specific stitch that's called a stem stitch because it's just used for stems so much, so it seems to be a really strong embroidery theme to do plants. This is actually coming along pretty nicely, except I might have lost a pin in there somewhere. Hold on. Alright. Lucky I didn't stitch on it. I'm just kind of wiggling the fabric underneath the needle at this point. But it's looking... I don't know. I'm not gonna say that it's looking great right now and then pull it out from underneath the machine and be horrified, so... Perhaps I will keep my mouth shut until I'm done. Just smushing it and smushing it. Alright, that should be it. Let's see whether I've made a collar. If I turn this outside out. I have. It's a little bit unevenly gathered. Like there's no wrinkles here whatsoever, which is a bit weird. But generally, it looks pretty decent. So I'm gonna just put this on and see what the length of the collar is like. I have a feeling that it's a bit long, but then again, those Regency shirts had collars like up to their ears anyway, so maybe it's not bad. So let's flip you around. see. So if I was Mr. Darcy right now, like, my hair is actually getting in the way of the collar. Quite extreme. Let's see, how does that look? I kind of need, okay, it's a bit tall. Like, it goes halfway up the back of my head. But honestly, if I just need a sort of a cravat to check whether the flappiness is any good. But honestly, if I lose, I'm still gonna lose about 1.5 centimeters on seam allowances from that. And if you then smoosh it into your neck a little bit, it's actually not that much too tall. I'm gonna just, I had a piece of fabric cut for a cravat. Is it this piece? I think it is. I'm just gonna quickly, because this is just gonna be like a straight up and down rectangular, folded in half, no big deal sort of thing. I'm gonna quickly stitch that up and then tie it around my neck and see how it turns out. So, let's... There we are. So this is just from the Selvage to Selvage, just a piece of fabric that I'm gonna fold in half, stitch it, turn it, iron it, and then I will call it a cravat. And historians will rage, but it will be fine because it will look good. Seems like maybe the chat is not working anymore. Or is that just because everyone's real quiet? I would ask you to type in the chat whether the chat is working, but that's not really how that works, is it? Let me see whether you've said stuff and I've missed it. Hello, Rabbit Mischief. Good morning. The chat is working. Yay! Alright. Welcome to the stream, Rabbit Mischief. It is. Like, in general, through this whole weekend of watching all these costume videos, there are people with some really cool usernames. Like, one of the funniest things to me is Clusterfrock. That made me chuckle. Hello, Bud Abbott. Welcome. Good afternoon from the Netherlands, where it's almost the same time as yours. So I'm just slapping together a cravat-ish thing to check whether my collar is any good. Let's see. I think I might run out of bobbin on this one. Let's see how long it lasts. Yep, I'm out. Okay, fine. So here's one for... Ooh. I also have enjoyed watching all the creative folk. So here's one for the lazy seamstresses. When I do my bobbins, I don't even take the main thread out of the needle. I just run it along the outside of the machine. And then... Oops. Hello. And then because it is gonna drag along the front if you don't do anything, so I just take like a pen or my scissors or something to hold it out of the way of the front of the machine. Hello? And that's how you wind a bobbin. The lazy way. And then you don't even have to rethread your needle. You're just good to go. Sorry, what was that? What was the most mind-blowing things I've seen? It wasn't so much... Well, one of the presentations I enjoyed a lot was the one about the Worth gowns. It's sort of a phenomenon that everyone wants to make one of those at some point, but I barely realized like how big that thing was, like how many people it employed and how huge of a success it was in its time. So I learned a lot from that stream. I've also seen people sewing craft foam for like cosplay purposes and making it into a corset, which was not something I expected to see. And I've learned some hilarious factoids about Victorian mourning wear. And by mourning, I don't mean like when you get up, I mean like when someone dies, where there were all these strict rules about how long you should be in mourning and what exactly you should wear. And then the fashion started changing pretty quickly, so it was pretty expensive to keep up with that sort of thing. And then also black gowns became a fashion, so how do you distinguish someone who's just wearing black from someone who's in mourning? And it was just pretty funny. And I also really like seeing the dedication of people who do stuff like making their own lace. Enchanted Rose Costumes did a video on making lace, and it just seems like so much effort. It does look really good when you're done, but whew. It's the kind of skills that are not even on my radar. It's almost like the next step from making your own lace is like weaving your own fabric or something. Actually, nah, I'm gonna leave it open. I've just stitched along the long edge at this point, and I'm just going to iron that out before I deal with the ends. I have a feeling I want to top stitch those, and I don't know, maybe cut them off diagonally or something. Might look nice. So, pressing time. I'm just going to press on the table with my sleeve board, which I hope actually... The hope here is that this fits. It doesn't. It just barely fits. I wanted to maybe just shove it on there and press it flat, but I guess no such luck. Oh, also I need to plug in my laptop before I lose you to that. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to press the seam open on this cravat, whatever you want to consider it. Where's my, my special on-table ironing board, also known as about a yard of muslin. Ooh, I can just about fit my hand in it to turn it. Why did I not think of this? There are all these neat, like, turning tricks where you stitch a ribbon into it when you start and then it's really easy or something. Come on now. Okay. Go on. Just turn. Ah. So I've picked a fabric with a, it's not quite linen, which would have been the original fabric, but at least it's like a linen and cotton blend, which is at least somewhat accurate. And also it'll wrinkle well. That's usually not considered a quality, but I like this sort of, the wrinkling that linen does makes it feel more old-timey and original. I don't know. I guess I'm just a real sucker for really lazy looks. I'm just gonna press the seam as flat as I can get it, and then not even sure I'm gonna top stitch it. I probably should, but maybe I will once I get fed up with it being kind of weird. reflecting on that whole like making your own lace thing, and just in general, realizing that people back in the day made everything by hand because it was the only thing they had. And it's like all that fancy stuff that you can just buy now that was made in a factory in China is how we afford the clothes that we have now. Like, I just go to the store and buy fabric, but at some point in history, someone needed to sit at a loom and make it. What? And it can be so cheap too. It's like, oh yeah, I just bought this because it's what they had available at the store and it was like $5. So yeah, maybe the 21st century is not so bad. It's got upsides, let's put it that way. So what other crafts do we have represented in the chat? Like we've already, like I'm sewing, someone else is doing embroidery. What else have we got? Some like foam smiths or leather workers or, I don't know, weavers, knitters. Bit of knitting? What are you knitting? Because I feel like when you get into the whole costuming thing, knitting becomes so much more than just like Christmas sweaters, which is kind of the cliche of like modern knitting. I think I'm just gonna fold these edges in and stitch them straight. Like most of the time you're not even gonna see this end because it'll just be tucked into the shirt. So I'm gonna just press this and then stitch it down. I should probably cut those threads. A scarf? Practicing changing the colors of the yarn to make stripes. Yeah, I tried knitting at some point in the past, and I got really ambitious about doing a scarf with like stripes at random points in the... I would legitimately roll dice to decide after how many rows I would change my color. But I was quite bad at knitting, and the project was quite ambitious to make like this Because you don't just, I don't know, you don't just knit a normal scarf, you knit a huge scarf, because huge scarves are way better than normal scarves. So I had a piece about this wide and about that long, and then I quit. So I hope your scarf goes a bit better than mine. Alright, I think that's it for the ironing for now. Let's unplug that. And stitch out these ends, and then finally I will be able to tie it around my neck and see whether the length of my collar is any good. Going well so far? Well, I hope it turns out great, and I hope that you end up better at knitting than I was. Or maybe you're probably actually already better than knitting than I was. Why does this keep getting stuck under the feed dog? Like, come on, what is this? The trick is to knit quickly with the smallest hand motions possible. I'll remember that in case I ever try it again. I have a feeling I should have started with like bigger knitting needles and thicker yarn, because it just moves along faster. I don't know. I was making these tiny... Alright, so I've got something that should be a cravat-ish thing. It feels a bit short now, actually. I don't know. I looked up once how to tie this, and it's something like you start from the front, then go across the back. I gotta make sure that my collar is actually inside of it. And then this is already feeling quite like it's a bit short. To rearrange all the things. And then you have to do something that's a bit like tying a tie, but I forgot how exactly. This is definitely short. I'll just tie it like just about a tie. This is not even a knot. What am I doing? It goes like around and then, I don't know, then down the front. I swear it had a nicer looking knot last time around. I'll have to Google that. So, lesson learned number 1, this is pretty short actually, because it's, like I feel this should go down to here so I can comfortably tuck it into my waistcoat. So this should definitely be longer. And then the question is the collar itself. Let's just pull my shirt down a bit so it's like relaxed. And this, arrange this a little bit. How does it look? It's actually quite, oh yeah, doing that Regency jawline collar thing. Actually, I quite like it. This is quite, like just my chin poking through sort of vibe. It's a bit high in the back. I might do that thing that I saw in the movies when I looked closely, where actually the collar is shaped to go into a little sort of point. Wait, I'm pointing at the wrong side. Going into sort of point up to your ears and then dips down again. So it's not halfway up the back of my head. But actually this just folding it under has already made it so much better. So that's also an option, I guess. You can just tuck it. I don't know, I'll do it for real. I'm gonna lose a little bit of this length to seam allowance, and then it'll be spot on, I think. This is a little high. Good. I'm not too unhappy with that. So this needs to be longer. I'll just cut, I don't know, some extra length of fabric and attach it to the end or something. Now, for this collar then, the game now is that I need to attach this outside of the collar to the inside of the collar and then to the edge of the shirt. And I think I'm going to try to do the shape thing. I just need to figure out exactly how far I need to take that. So let's assume that it closes in the front and there's a little bit of overlap. Actually, oh yeah, I just need to, so there are some seam allowances and then it'll just meet in the center. There's no overlap actually. Something like this is how it will meet. Instead, this is a good point for that dip to start, maybe. Maybe a little bit further back. Yeah, it is right. I feel like if you're a Regency gentleman and you know what you're doing, then your collar is like up to your eyebrows. So if this is up to my face, like this, where is my ear? My ear is like here. So I'm just gonna take this as the very scientifically determined point where it should dip a little bit. And then the same goes for the other side. Right. And then maybe, wait, let's draw this on the wrong side instead of the right side. That might be a smart move. I think this is the side with the interfacing on. Yep. Then let's just draw something a little bit like that. So that's not even. It's something like that. I think seems reasonable. I need to extrapolate that down a little bit because there is I think I put 1.5 centimeters of seam allowance on that. Did I? Yep. So you will end up stitching something like here, and then like that, and then like that. So I'm just gonna pin this to the back of the collar that I've already attached. And then I'm gonna try to stitch all the way around the edges, leaving just a little bit here so I can fold this under and then probably hand stitch it down. Actually, I might get away with just stitching it in the ditch. We'll see when we get there whether I'm gonna hand stitch it or not. Alright. So This is the right side, so it should go here. Also, on this shirt, I've been sort of experimenting with pinning a lot less than I usually would, because it's all straight edges anyway, and I don't know. I'm used to doing corsets where like every millimeter is relevant, and I pin the crap out of everything to be super accurate, but it's not actually that necessary here. So why not skip that? And even just sort of line it up as you put it under the machine. I could probably save a lot of time by pinning less. All right, let's stitch on the inner collar. And since I've already got the outer collar on, see if you can see this. So at this point is where that stitch line should end exactly. So I can then turn under the rest. I'm actually going to give it a little bit of leeway and start something like over here, and then hand stitch this last bit shut after I've turned everything in. And then it should sit like cleanly as a corner sort of thingy over the Wait, what's going on? Something is going. What is what? Why is this a different length? This should be the exact same piece, but here's a bit sticking out here. Is it the same on the other side? Am I going crazy? Is it just because I stretched it out a bit? What's going on? In today's episode of What is Wrong? I don't know. I feel like I cut these pieces at the exact same time. Like, how is it that one is a different size now? I swear I washed and ironed this before. Maybe it's an alignment thing where it's not exactly rectangular and this one is flipped around. That's possible. I'll just nudge it over a little bit and let it get eaten up by the seam allowances on the other side. Because this is the YOLO project. Let's just... I had a really generous seam allowance anyway, so you can get away with this. So I guess no machine for now. I was just raving about how I shouldn't pin things, and then I, through pinning, discovered that something was wrong with my garment. Maybe I'm not that mad after all. Well, it seems to be slightly longer. It's really weird. So how is the knitting coming along? Like how far to, I mean, if you're still there, how far to completion is it, like percentage-wise? Alright, let's try this again, shall we? Should probably mark exactly where that should start. You're going until you run out of yarn? Oh, that seems like a good measure. It's like, how long is the scarf? It's 2 balls of yarn long. That's a decent measure. I'm just gonna go 1 or 2 more stitches before I turn. There are 5 balls came together. I like the color combo. 2.5 feet. That's getting there. Like, it's not quite a scarf yet, but it could go around your neck, like, at least once. It's definitely longer than my longest scarf. I'm not sure I did this correctly. I did the curve into the back of the collar quite smoothly, when in the movies it looks more like a crisp point. So maybe I'm gonna go back and unpick that and make that a sharper turn. That's a pretty good look. $72. Can someone like quickly do that into metric for me? So what, 12 inches in a foot or something? For a foot, I have some sort of imagination what it is. Oh wait, I can multiply by 2.5, right? So it's like more than 1.5 meters. That's a good length. So I am gonna change my mind about this pointy thing, because I sort of veered this into a smooth line where I now think it should be more crisp. So unpicking the mistakes is happening. from sort of here to, I don't know, let's just take the whole thing out. Because this also looks way too flat. Everything between here and there needs to go. Let's see if this will rip out. We just got here. I'm not sure what it's for. Well, it's not gonna be like a costume. I guess it's more history bounding than costume. It's also just sort of, I don't know. I never know what to call my taste in clothes. I like fancy shit. So I would wear it to the supermarket, so I guess history bounding is more it. I'll just catch you up on what's going on. I'm making this sort of Regency men's look because I really like all the collars. So I'm starting with the undershirt and also making a waistcoat, and I've got some jackets already that have quite like high collars that I think I can wear with it. If I don't like those, I can always, I guess, make a jacket while I'm there. But the point is not to be historically accurate, because I'm just after the look. And the point is also not to be super precise about it, because the only purpose of this undershirt is to provide a popped collar. So I'm just making up everything as I go along. I've looked at some historical sources for how these things are usually constructed, and after that I'm just sort of winging it. Because I need a bit of a low-key do-whatever project. So, restitching my collar to have more crisp corners at the ears. Let's do it. Stop exactly here. Make a turn. You're most welcome. Are you working on something at the moment? Or just chilling and watching the stream? And stop right there. Actually, just a little bit short. Alright, I think that's better. I'm not entirely sure you can see that with the white on white stitching. But I just made a really straight line up to that point and then curved it downwards, which I think might be better. You're cooking corn. That's also not a bad way to spend a Sunday. Still need to figure out what I'm gonna have for dinner after this. So I'm just gonna trim the seam allowances and clip the corners and then press it out, I hope. I guess I'm gonna grade the seam allowances so it's not so bulky. So if anyone has any suggestions on what I should be making for dinner, I'm also up for that. Still got some like potatoes and broccoli in the fridge that I'm gonna eat if I don't get any better ideas, but... So that's the top layer trimmed. Now I just need to take out a little bit of this curve. I might need to clip into that to properly iron it out. So let's do that up front. All right, let's do some pressing and see where we end up. This might, the corners, there. Where is my makeshift ironing board? Oh, I forgot to clip this corner as well. Whoops. So this inner collar actually has some interfacing in it as well to stiffen it up. So you get the nice like pokey corners. Pokey outie. Let me get my pokey stick to properly do these corners. There. That's nice and crisp. Alright. Shirt would also be good for an Elizabeth Bennet look. It depends on, I guess, how Elizabeth Bennet you want to be. Like, those Regency shirts, or like Regency dresses, they tend to have quite a, like, round neckline. And, they have that sort of scarf tucked into it to cover their neck. I guess you could do that shirt and like leave it open and it sort of flops over the dress. I'm not sure. Seems like a Regency lady would want a little more an elegant chemise. Where's my ear corner? There it is. And the other ear corner. She's wearing a man shirt in her most iconic look. Okay, what iconic look are we talking about now? Like, which of the many movies and what scene? Because I'm mostly the sort of BBC series fangirl. And I know that the one with, what's her name? Keira Knightley exists. but I haven't actually watched it. Is that where she's wearing a men's shirt? Or what's going on? I'm not that invested in being like BBC version versus Keira Knightley version or something. You just like what you like. But I don't know. I appreciated the level of sass, let's say. Like very understated sass. And of course, like the main iconic look that I associate with this shirt is the pond scene where like Colin Firth comes out of the water with like only that shirt on. Well, and pants, I'm not sure. But is the Elizabeth Bennet shirt thing, is that from the Keira Knightley version? Or did I just completely misremember what happens in the BBC version? Ah, right. I will have to look that up. Or can you post a link to the picture? Actually, I'm not sure you're allowed to post links in chat on platforms these days. Because I guess you get a lot of spam, but maybe you can post a link to a picture. If it doesn't work, we'll notice that it doesn't. Because I mostly know that version from like the brown dress. Alright, I think that's it. That looks reasonable, right? I guess I should probably top stitch it. That seems like the correct thing to do. At a couple of millimeters. But maybe I'll do that after I turn the corner under, because then it can go over that as well. Right. Seems good. So let's get rid of the iron again. And I'm thinking that if I turn this under just slightly less than the other side, I can stitch in the ditch from the front to attach it. And that might be quite convenient and not require hand stitching, so that's what I'm gonna try to go for. I just need to remember to like pin it in the right way so that... Wait, why is there a black stain on this? It looks like a pen mark or something. How did that end up there? Uh-oh. Where's got a little black mark on it? Did that come from something that's on my desk right now? Or was it maybe already there? How am I gonna get you out? Seems almost like a tiny bit of Sharpie or something. Or there's a tiny bit of black fiber in the fabric. What is this? What are you? You weren't there before. I'll leave it for now. It'll just be covered by the cravat anyway. Let's see if I can see it from behind. This is really weird. Seems like there's a tiny elastic black fiber just embedded in the fabric. Cat's Costumes and Rachel have made a version of it recently, which was I reminded of it. Ah! I haven't seen that. I might need to check that out. Alright, so I'm just gonna pin it from the back and then baste it because I can't be bothered to pin it from the front. I might have needed to leave that a little bit longer, so... that's a slight problem. It doesn't stick out particularly far past the original seam line, and I need to tuck that under to neatly finish it. That's not great. That might require some hand stitching to get that to sit there. Ugh. Yikes. So bulky as well. To clip some of this nonsense. So these pins are just to keep the collar from being flat by the time I'm done. Wait, did I say keep it from being flat? I just mean that these lengths are gonna stay the same, even though I'm fiddling with the edge. Ah, that's why it feels so thick. I pinned like half the shirt to that. Wait. Okay. Whoops. Let's try that again. Does that look alright? That's just right on the edge. That's good. I'm just gonna give myself a little bit more of a margin. Because I don't want to stitch in the ditch and then realize afterwards that I didn't catch half of it. Still seems about right. This doesn't want to go. Come on. Is the corner I already trimmed? I think it is. It's too bad. I wish I could trim it more. This is really chunky. I don't like this one bit. See if I can at least clip this corner a little bit. Okay, I think this is it. I'm gonna need to base this in place because there's no way that's staying put. Or God forbid I need to hand sew it. And then let's also do the other side. Oh, I did it again. I pinned my collar to my collar. Good thing you find out about it now instead of after you stitched it, I suppose. There we are. All right. How long have I been sewing now? Oh, an hour and a half, right? Yeah. It's not bad progress. I'm doing a too short cravat and a just tall enough collar. I need to fold that under just a little bit more. So then, since we're talking about iconic Jane Austen looks, what are like the best costumed Jane Austen adaptations? This is so fuzzy. I watched that recent version of Emma, the one that's a bit less historically accurate and a bit more fancy feeling. I don't know, it's got that same colorful, vibrant vibe that Marie Antoinette movie with Kirsten Dunst had. Don't really know how to explain it. Right, I'm gonna just base that because otherwise I can't stitch it from the front. Where is my basting thread? And where's my thimble? That's actually a more important question. I think it's at my desk. So, no opinions on Jane Austen costumes? Okie dokie, let's base this. I guess this is the only way. I'm also going to make sure that those corners that are just a little bit short where they've been tucked under actually stay where they're supposed to, so I'm not going to hate on it. These corners are really thick. Can I not trim something from this on the inside? I feel the latest version of Mansfield Park was quite good. I mean, I'm also learning about Regency fashion. I have like no idea. The Emma Thompson Sense and Sensibility is your favorite? Is that the one where is that the one with Hugh Grant? Because I feel like I should know who Emma Thompson is, but I'm terrible at telling actresses apart. I'm gonna have to look up all these versions because I feel like I'm not entirely sure which ones we're talking about. But it's good to know that there are... Oh yeah, okay, then that one was good. I felt like the dresses in that one were... They had, like, personality for the characters that wore them, I feel. Alright, that's one corner tamed. At least a little bit. Ow! I need to stop stabbing myself with needles. Yeah, I mean, I just... it's true that people say Regency like it's one exact look. When I have been educated recently on the fact that, you know, it's a couple of decades and fashion's changed, so you can take some liberty with it. As I'm basting, I'm realizing that this is not... It's a bit all over the place with whether it's gonna get stitched in the ditch or not. What is going on here? I'm gonna take this out. It's already, like, I have 3 stitches in and it's already bad. This stitch needs to go. Because it does not line up well with the outside. Okay, let's try that again. Try to get a little bit more exact on it actually lining up with the bottom of the collar on the outside as well. I'm almost tempted to hand stitch it. Almost. What am I even doing? This is such a mess. I feel like it's not even wanting to come out of the other side. Sorry, what's that? They even had a bustle staff with their dresses or made themselves look like Egyptian people? Oh, really? Yeah, I hear that, sort of, I'm not sure if it's the same era, but as a sort of entertainment among wealthy people who had nothing better to do in their house, they would just play dress up, essentially. Make, like, scenes from plays or places around the world, just as evening entertainment. And I can only imagine that you would be kind of tempted to also wear that stuff elsewhere. Oh, come on, don't tangle up. Don't be like that. Still going strong on the outside. Needs to move up a little bit. That's better. Why don't I just repin it from the front so I don't have to baste it? Seriously, so done with this. screw this. I'm gonna do it like that. Alright, I'm saying that pretty triumphantly, but that was pretty bad. Why doesn't stuff just magically line up? Is that not something we can have in the 21st century? So after I finish this shirt, which is probably not today, but hopefully soon, TM, I'm gonna work on a waistcoat to go over it, because that's actually kind of the whole point of making the shirt, is so it can go under my waistcoat. And that's gonna be a sort of burgundy-ish fabric that I've got back there somewhere. It's quite cool. And if you've got... I'm still sort of debating on the style of the collar. Like, there's a couple of Regency collars that I really like. There's this style where it continues straight from the center front line, like the buttons just continue right up into the collar. I think I prefer that one. But there are some other styles that are really cool, so I'm open to suggestions. But I feel that that one where it just goes straight onto the collar, there's like not even... Well, there's a seam, but there's no corner, no nothing. Really like clean and elegant. Okay, this is potentially also a bad idea, this whole pinning business. I keep like poking my thumb into the pins that are already there. Wow, that's way out. Nope, 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 nope. Bit better. Alright, I'm almost there, almost ready to start stitching this down. I feel like I should still baste the corners though, because those are really just impossible. It's escaping. The fabric I folded back, it's coming out. It's coming for me. What's my background music? It's just some random royalty-free music I found. I need to check the name of the guy. I found it on, let me check that. I've got this data somewhere. My background music is coming from a guy called, at least I assume it's a guy, Flavio Concini, and I downloaded it off of freesound.org. Basically, Freesound is just a website with a bunch of royalty-free and like CC0 music. And he did a bunch of these sort of electronic mixes that I find pretty relaxing, so that's just in a loop. Yeah, he did a bunch of similar mixes, so you can get them all from, what was it, freesound.org. This is such a garbage fire. I should just hand stitch those corners. Why did I not think of that? I'm gonna do one more try at stuffing it in there, but it's just not gonna work, is it? Worst case, I have to just unpick part of it and reattach it, but I'm gonna try jamming it under the machine and seeing how far I get. Oh, and if you're looking at downloading the music yourself, I think his username was something like Greek555 or something. I think your comment might be a little bit delayed, Yukimiko. I assume that this is about playing the scenes and stuff in your house? Alright, let's see if I can sort of stitch in the ditch and get this collar attached nicely. And hopefully not have to do too much hand stitching and reworking and all that. I might try this with a zipper foot because the edge of it is so bulky. Maybe that's a good plan. Let's do that. Just run a zipper foot along the edge. Give myself a little bit of wiggle room. Ah, yeah. That's too bad. Yeah, I think that sort of stuff is banned because of spammers and stuff. I also tried figuring out how to paste links on Twitch and on YouTube, and it's just not a thing apparently. Alright, so let's see how much I can do this. Try to pull this off. Seems to be going fine looking at it from the front so far. I just hope that when I flip it over, it'll actually have caught the edge on the back. And like... Well, that definitely didn't catch the corner, but let's see what I did catch. It's getting really dark now as well. Let's see if I can get a little bit more light in here. Alright, how did I do? Okay, so it ran off the edge here a little bit because of the chunkiness of the corner. And same on this side. So actually I could have stitched closer to the actual stitch line. That's just a bit sloppy on my part. I'm just gonna take out this last bit and hand stitch that, and also hand stitch this corner, and then I'll just call it a day. Just taking out the little screwy uppy parts. I think I might have actually caught the corner in the stitching. Did I? Ooh. I'm gonna leave that bit in and reinforce it with my hand stitching. All right, here we go. Where did my needle go? Yeah, I think I'm just gonna finish the collar and then I'm gonna call it a day for the stream and make some dinner or something. And watch a couple more CocoVid videos because there's still more to go. I'm just gonna start on the side and just sort of pull it together. Hopefully. It's alright if this shirt ends up looking a little bit scruffy because it's just providing the collar. I kind of feel bad now for talking about my shirt this way. Never did anything wrong and here I am just dehumanizing it, saying it's only a collar. I'm sorry, shirt. I will show some more appreciation. Am I gonna do the cuff like that? Yeah, probably. For the cuffs, actually, it's not gonna be two pieces. Like, this is actually an outer collar and an inner collar that are then stitched together. For the cuffs, I've just got a rectangle that's gonna get stitched to the fabric on one side, then flipped over, like folded in half and stitched down. Probably also stitching in the ditch if I can. Otherwise, I'll hand stitch it. This is pretty much the same setup where the rest of the sleeve will be gathered in to fit into the cuff. So yeah, definitely gonna do it that way. You can even watch half of what you wanted to watch. Oh yeah. It's also a little bit awkward time zone wise for me because all the videos in like looking at it from my time zone, the earliest ones start at like 3 in the afternoon and then it goes midnight and later for the last ones. So like till 3 in the morning sometimes. So everything that starts after 11 in the evening, I just consider it to be the next day. I just go to sleep and watch it in the morning. And also thank you for saying that among all the videos you could watch that you enjoyed mine. I try to make it, I don't know. I'm not really sure where I'm going with it because it's not the pinnacle of historical education nor the most entertaining thing ever, but I like to make it chill and vaguely educational. Like the main purpose of this stream is just to, I don't know, maybe pick up a few things here and there and mostly just laugh at my mistakes. Which I think we need sometimes, you know? All the YouTube tutorials is, it's all people succeeding at things. And it makes sense because they wouldn't, like, edit and show you the take where they failed. Oh yeah, whip stitches are... I can deal with whip stitches. I used to be a really big ladder stitch fan, but honestly, the practical difference between how much you can see it versus really good whip stitches is so small that I stopped doing them. Aw, thank you. Where am I? I feel like I haven't properly removed the old stitching. Can't see where I'm stitching now. I feel like I need to clean this whole thing up a little bit because I've got like the old stitch line that wasn't any good and my basting thread and some frayed bits just sticking out, and it's just can't really tell what I'm doing anymore or what part is supposed to be there and what part isn't. Am I coming close now to where the original stitching was any good? I think so. Yeah, it's still in over there, okay. I think I can finish this bit. Alright, that's one side done. Now I just need to finish the other corner. And then I'll go make some dinner, which will not be streamed. Streaming this is quite enough, like, for the fail compilations. That's another thing I should stop doing probably, is putting pins and needles in my mouth. I heard some horror stories about them like getting stuck in people's lungs and stuff. It's just so practical. Well, not the lungs part, but the in your mouth part. I'm kind of sweaty inside my thimble. Gross. I need to disregard this line of stitching, but not the other one. I'm gonna just pick that out before I get confused. Used to repair firefighter uniforms? You're not allowed to hold pins in your mouth for obvious reasons. What? Oh, yeah, exactly. The coughing thing is like I heard this story of someone who like sneezed or something and then inhaled a pin. But what is the deal with the firefighter thing? So why is it if the alarm goes off and you're like, oh my god, what? Or why are you not? What is the thing with the firefighter uniforms? I don't think I get it. Uniforms are being used in toxic situations. Oh, right. Sure, so if you put the pins in the fabric and then in your mouth, you get like whatever asbestos or whatever was released in the fire. Yeah, I should probably, I don't know. I should probably get one of those bracelet pin cushions or something. So it's just a little bit somewhere where it's easy to grab, but not in my mouth. Alright, I'm nearly there. I'm just sort of strong-arming this corner that really doesn't want to go into submission. And then I'm just going to do a whole bunch of really tiny stitches and try to pull it as tight as I can to make it stay where it's supposed to go. Hopefully just sort of put the stitches in exactly the right spot and then pull it into position. Hopefully, maybe. You have one but it's still end up in your mouth? Ah. Yeah, I could see myself do that. It's quite a habit. Think about safety, kids. You don't want to have pins in your lungs. Ugh. There's some basting threads still in here that also just need to go because this is not working for me. There. Okay, I'm nearly there. I just need to get around this corner without, like, ripping it to shreds. There's a bunch of threads sticking out here. But I'm just gonna trim away now, because after I finish hand stitching this, if I accidentally snip my actual real useful thread, I'm gonna be so sad. Alright. This one I'm just trying to pick up a little bit from the thread, from the fabric underneath, and then a little bit from... I'm not sure you can see that. I'll just... So if the bulky thing is like this spool, and the rest of the fabric is sort of sitting flat underneath, I'm trying to just not stitch right through it. I'm trying to pick up a little bit here and a little bit there, and then sort of pull it towards each other to hopefully sort of flatten it out a little bit. If that makes any sense. It seems to be going alright so far, so. Just smushing some of those threads. Oh, by the way, if we're talking sewing gadgets, because we're talking about pincushions and stuff, these sticks, they're intended for like clay modeling and they cost like €1 each. They've been so good at like poking out corners that you're trying to iron, or just general like pokey sticks. And you can get them with all kinds of, like, this is the super pointy one. There's also a sort of more curved one. I really recommend the clay modeling pokey sticks. Sometimes you just need to poke. Oh yeah, I tried a little bit of bookbinding a couple of months ago, and like using something sort of curved like this to like press the edges flat and stuff like that seems pretty useful. Alright, I think I actually managed to get this finished fairly cleanly. I am not disappointed at all. I guess once again proving the fact that hand stitching is useful and I should probably not be so grudging about doing it, but it did take a while. But we got there. I'm gonna weave the end of the thread into the collar somewhere so it doesn't flop around too much. Oops. Okay, I'm just gonna put it on and see where that leaves us at the end of this stream. So, If I did this right, it will sit right around my ears. I'm gonna make the bottom edge a little bit wider as well, because it's kind of... I gave myself quite a bit of, what is it called? I can't think of the English word for it. Extra space. But it's still a bit tight. So I've got a bit of seam allowance there that I'm gonna use. Let's try it with the cravat. Alright, let's see where we end up. I'm gonna put like 2 buttons on the collar to close it, but actually now that I'm pulling it around my neck, it feels actually like it barely overlaps. So maybe it's not a great idea. But as the collar goes, after arranging everything meticulously, I think this is pretty much where I want it to end up. Like it's nice and crisp, sticking out. You can sort of maneuver it, right? That works. What is that emoji? So, I feel that you can do quite a lot of maneuvering with the collar. If you could sort of pull it down a little bit, stuff it into the cravat a little bit more, and manage where these points end up. But generally, I think this is about right. This is hitting right about at my ear, so the collar isn't going all the way up the back of my head anymore. I'm feeling like I could be the next Miss Darcy. Something like that. Yes. Not attractive enough to tempt, or not pretty enough to tempt, not handsome enough to tempt me. Yep. Alright. I think that will conclude the stream for this week. Thanks everyone for checking in with me and hanging out with me and chatting to me while I'm sewing. Before next week, I think I'm gonna at least fix the cravat and get a start on the sleeves. I don't think I'm gonna finish them, so probably next week is sleeves on this thing. If I do somehow get really inspired and finish it over the week, then next week is gonna be probably pattern drafting the waistcoat. So if any of that seems interesting to you, then sort of next week, Sunday, same time, I'm going to be online and working on the next part of this outfit. So thanks a lot for hanging out with me, and enjoy the rest of your day or night or morning, wherever you are around the world, and I'll see you next week.